and welcome to a fresh start. New week, news stories on People's Voice on VOP television, where the stories that matter most take the center stage as we continue to amplify the concerns, stories, perspectives, and voices of the everyday Nigerian citizens. It's always about you and I, so it's time to set the tone for an amazing week, and of course, with a lot of news stories. I am Adefunke Jaisimi. And today on People's Voice, we are taking a deeper dive into the tale of a man who has been a loyalist of the governor of Benue State, Father ALIA, for nearly 2 years. Right Honorable DAJOH, he resigned his position as Speaker of the House of Assembly yesterday after leading the sitting that actually suspended 4 members of the House last Friday. We talked about that on this show, and before we said Jack Robinson, a lot has changed in the Benue State political dynamics. But before we get into that story, let's look into some news highlights. Let's begin with politics, as the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is gearing up for its national convention scheduled for November 15 to 16, 2025 in Ibadan, Oyo State, a crucial event that will determine the party's direction and effectiveness in the 2027 general elections. The convention will elect new National Working Committee (NWC) members who will oversee the nomination of the party's presidential standard bearer and other candidates. While the deputy national officials are demanding inclusion in the NWC, arguing that they were elected at the national convention and should also have full powers. The zoning formula, which will also determine power sharing arrangement between the North and the South and among the 6 geopolitical zones, will also be a critical conversation that will be held at the convention. Well, the party's success will depend on the parties involved, the groups involved, the aggrieved groups, putting aside their differences and working towards a common goal, which is for the PDP to succeed. On the part of the PDP's Governors Forum, they've expressed commitment to the convention and urged party members to resist attempts to derail the event. And of course, the outcome of this convention will have far-reaching implications for the party's future, with key questions including the impact of the zoning formula on the party's chances in the year 2027 general elections, and of course the party's ability to ensure unity and cohesion among its party members. Well, for many people who have lost hope in the People's Democratic Party, this is the party trying to reignite trust among Nigerians, saying that the party is alive. And I mean, apart from the ruling All Progressive Congress, they have the highest number of governors and representations across board. So PDP is saying that the party is not dead. We are coming back bigger, stronger, and better. But let's look into other news stories at the moment. The Bring Back Our Good Luck group. So this is actually interesting because while Good Luck Jonathan was president, there was the Bring Back Our Girls. And of course, now we have a new group, Bring Back Our Good Luck. It is a pro-Jonathan pressure group urging former President Good Luck Jonathan to return to active politics and contest in the 2027 presidential election. They believe his leadership and economic policies would be the best antidote to Nigeria's current challenges, citing his achievements, including economic stability and peacemaking skills, according to them. This is quite arguable depending on the side of the person of Goodluck Ebele Jonathan you're looking at, or where you, judging his presidency from. But let's look at another political story where Atiku Abubakar has come to talk about his presidential ambition. So Atiku Abubakar has reaffirmed his determination to run for the president in 2027, believing Nigeria needs to be decisively rescued from its current state of poverty, pain, and lack of accountability. He expressed confidence in his party, the African Democratic Congress (ADC), to galvanize popular support and also win the elections. Atiku Abubakar emphasized that his ambition is driven by a desire to rebuild Nigeria and not just personal gain. He stated, "I will run in 2027. Nigeria needs to be decisively rescued from the intensive care unit it has been consigned to." And this is him refuting the claims about Atiku Abubakar throwing weight behind the candidacy of any southern candidate or whoever emerges outside himself under the African Democratic Congress. But yeah, updates from Atiku Abubakar. So let's look what 2027 holds for this top political bigwigs. I'm going to talk about security update now. In Osun State, the governor, Ademola Adeleke, has commended President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, for busting terrorist cells in Osun State and also arresting Ansaru terrorist group leaders, describing it as a significant advancement in the fight against terrorism. The governor praised the proactive strategy in managing national security, saying, "We praise the president, the national security advisor, and the entire security leadership on recent advances with the arrest of the Ansaru terrorist group leaders." Well, it's more about politics today because the weekend was very, very eventful and a lot of political issues to dissect here. In Rivers State, let's go back to the suspension of the suspended governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara. So the 6-month suspension of the governor, his deputy, and members of the House of Assembly in Rivers State is nearing its end. However, recent developments indicate Fubara's reinstatement might come with a lot of conditions which have sparked a mixed reactions, with some suggesting from unverified sources. A lot of information have been out there, and one of these unverified news is the talk about deal that bars Fubara from seeking re-election in 2027. Some also talk about some Wike nominating and ensuring the victory of 23 local government chairpersons in the state, and also that Fubara will settle outstanding entitlements owed to pro-Wike lawmakers. Well, whatever the situation is, 6 months is almost here, and we sincerely wish Rivers State people the very best. And it's never about the governor now. It's about the will to return to office and make all wrongs right so that the people can truly continue to enjoy the dividend of democracy. Well, that's the much we can take on the news at the moment. Now, to be a part of the conversation on the show, do want to call us or text us via WhatsApp on 090-447-32605. 090-447-32605 is the number to call us, text us via WhatsApp. You can also follow us on social media at VOPTV Live, and you can use the hashtag to be a part of this conversation, People's Voice on VOPTV. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People Television. Kindly hit the subscribe button, and together, let's make our voices heard. It's time for a break now. When we return, we'll come to talk about the sudden resignation of Right Honorable Andona DAJOH as Speaker of the BENUE State House of Assembly that has sent shockwaves through the state's political landscape. Please stay tuned. Well, many thanks for staying with People's Voice on VOP Television. It's about the most engaging, informative, and quite exciting show on television where we bring the political stories to you the most relatable way to everyday citizens. And of course, we ask questions that are on the minds of our viewers. So the sudden resignation of Right Honorable Andona DAJOH as Speaker of the BENUE State House of Assembly has sent shockwaves through the state's political landscape. For nearly 2 years, a lot of people have talked about the loyalty of the Speaker to the Governor, Father ALIA, but the relationship soured when the Governor submitted a new list of nominees to the Assembly. The lawmakers who had previously rubber-stamped the Governor's nominees this time around dug in their heels, demanding that certain conditions be met before screening could begin. Well, these are the speculations, these are the stories, or some of the stories that we've seen. And these conditions included the suspension of the SUBEB chairperson, Dr. Grace Adagba, and the removal of the Otukpo local government chairman and addressing the welfare of the assembly members. When the screening finally commenced, 2 nominees from the list sent by the governor, Dr. Timothy Yagian Onguga and James Dwem, were rejected outrightly. And of course, Onguga faced multiple petitions from former students alleging cruelty, humiliation, and abuse, while questions lingers about his academic record. So there were a lot of issues attached to the person of Onguga. But, well, the rejection of this man, Onguga, seemed to be the final straw that broke the camel's back, according to reports. Just days after the rejection, 4 lawmakers, including Alfred Mbaga, popularly known as Baga, was suspended on allegation of plotting to destabilize this assembly. And of course, we had this conversation on Friday where it was reported that late night on Thursday, there were speculations of the plot by Alfred Mbaga and some other members, 3 other members, to unseat the speaker the following morning. That's on Friday. And what happened was that at the sitting that particular day, a motion was raised and these members were suspended for 6 months without any right of reply or maybe detailed investigation to ascertain what exactly the situation is. We had a conversation on this show, and it was a lot to unpack, only to wake up, or maybe it wasn't the early hours of yesterday, but I mean, before sunset yesterday, the dynamics in the political landscape of Benue State had changed, and just yesterday we got reports that the same speaker actually resigned from office. However, it's no, it came as a surprise to a lot of Nigerians, and it was a turn of events because he resigned citing the best interest of the state, and that left a lot of Nigerians to ask the question, what is the interest of the state, and whose interest are we talking about when we say state? Well, Beja, or I would like my guest to pronounce the name properly, he was initially suspended just because of the same issue of trying to impeach the speaker, but he was elevated to the position of the speaker. So the suspension happened on Friday. There was no part of that conversation where we saw reinstatement, and the same person was elevated to the position of speaker, and his suspension was erased immediately. His election was unanimous, and he pledged unity, cooperation with the governor, and continuity with his colleagues, cooperation with the governor. So maybe the interest of the state has a lot to do with cooperation with the governor. I wouldn't be answering that question, but the question on a lot of Nigerians' mind is, was DAJOH's fall about Onguga? The consequence, I mean, the sequence of events suggests that the rejection of Onguga's nomination was a significant factor in the speaker's downfall. And a lot of people suggest that there were probably a lot of behind-the-scenes conversations that were not taken seriously, and this must have led to that twist of fate, like a lot of people will say. But now the new speaker, Bega, faces unresolved issues, including the cases of Dr. Onguga, Tiza Imojime, and Dr. Grace Adagba. Bega's every move will be closely watched by the people, and his decision will be seen as a signal of either independence from the executive or a reconciliation with it. The stakes are high in Benue State at the moment, and the questions are pressing. Only time will tell how Bega will navigate the complex web of politics in Benue State. But a lot of people say it's not about him navigating the complex web of politics. He's been a member of the House of Assembly, and for that suspension that happened, a lot of conversations might have happened that Nigerians do not have access to. But we just hope that things go well, and at the end of the day, the people of Benue State are truly represented and enjoy every bit of what is called the dividend of democracy in the state. As always, it's never a one-man show on People's Voice, so it's time to get talking. It's time to get into analysis. Joining me now virtually from the FCT Abuja is Dr. Steve Okwori, security expert and political commentator. Good afternoon, Dr. Steve Okwori.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, thank you for joining the show today again. I know that I had to stretch you out a bit, but it's good to have you on the show because we talked about this development last week, Friday, not knowing that it's going to be a twist of fate before the new week, and here we are. What exactly can you say? How do you react to all of this? I have a lot of questions to ask you, but I want you to speak from the perspective of an average Benue man. What is happening in your state?
It's politics. It's politics, and it's politics. Yeah, but let me give you a background to what is currently happening.
Okay.
Before 2023, we had different aspirants for the office of governor under the APC and under other political parties. Yeah, APC, under the APC, we have the SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator Dr. George Akume, as the political leader of APC in Benue. Then he was a senator. And as a former governor, two-time governor, and all that. So he now ensured that out of all the aspirants for the office of governor, he paved the way. He moved the goalposts during the game. During the game, he shifted the goalpost because of one particular man. Other states were having direct primaries. indirect primaries in their states for the office of governor.
Okay.
During the primary election. But when he saw that in the party there were big wigs that wanted to contest for that same office, and they had so much money, and Father Alia, coming from the Catholic Church as a priest, didn't have money, and him as a senator didn't have the wherewithal to support Father Alia to go into primaries where delegates will come from all the local governments, elected delegates, either 3 or 5 in number and all that. So he now instructed the state chairman of the party, in the person of Honorable Austin Agada, to write to the national headquarters of the party that they want to go in to the primaries using the direct primaries, not where
like direct
it
method
will
of
be delegates.
primaries.
Yes. So what that means is that every card-carrying member of the APC has the right to vote for whoever he or she wants to vote for. So there was no, the big wigs, the ones that had money couldn't come and buy delegates and all that. So that was how Father Alia now emerged as candidate of the party. At the end of the day, he became governor. Now, the point I want to make clearly is here. If you want to run for office of governor in Benue, I'm from Benue, and I must speak to it directly the way I feel and the way it is.
Okay.
We shouldn't base our aspiration from the ethnic group or from the tribe or from the faith or from the background that you come from. We should look at it based on your pedigree, what you have to offer. The indigenous of the state should look at your manifesto. What do you want to give to them? How do you want to turn things around? Because we know the situations of Benue. But having said that, when he emerged as governor, Senator Akume nominated somebody to be speaker. Father Alia turned down that person and went for Honorable Onduna DAJOH. Onduna DAJOH now emerged, yes, against the will of
his godfather.
Right. Then he agreed that the man was his godfather, but right now the man is no longer his godfather, because he has emerged, he is governor today. Now, Onduna DAJOH now became speaker. At the end of it all, Onduna DAJOH was doing the bidding of the governor. I am not saying that governor, the executive, and what they call them, the legislature should not. Yes, they should. They should be. The legislature should be independent of the executive. I don't know why in our own system, the executive twist the legislature. They must ensure that who becomes speaker and all that. If you are doing all that for who, just for you to have a robust, sale or whatever you want to do as governor, so be it. But in the event where you are, what the state assembly needs to do, Father Alia, I don't know, but listen.
Okay.
This is one person. This is one person that is a priest, and Benue people were thinking that this man was coming differently, to do things differently from the way
of the people around. I mean,
exactly.
Just like it's expected of a reverend father.
Exactly, from the way politicians do things. But I am sorry to say, what we are seeing in Benue today is worse than what the average politicians were doing. Akume wasn't like this. Suswan wasn't like this. Otom wasn't like this.
Okay, let me come in there. Let's begin with power dynamics. Let's look at it from power dynamics perspective now. How does the sudden resignation of Right Honorable Onduna DAJOH and the immediate elevation of a suspended Alfred Mbaga reflect the shifting power dynamics within the Benue State House of Assembly and the implications? Because what implication does this have for Governor ALIA'S administration? And do you think that this is a switch? Is George Akume beginning to have a hold on the assembly, or is still power play from the governor trying to twist things around?
It's the governor that is still twisting things around. Do you know why? Now, when from your introduction, it was allege that the names of commissioner nominees that the governor sent to the assembly, out of 8, 2 were rejected. And they asked that the governor should replace those 2 from the local governments where he nominated them from. That is one. Before the commissioner nominees list was sent to the assembly, the State Universal Basic Education Board chairman, a lady, Dr. Adagba,
right,
was indicted by a committee to the tune of over ₦1 billion that she cannot account for.
Did you say ₦1 billion?
Over ₦1 billion that she couldn't account for.
In Benue State?
Yes, she's the chairman of the Universal Basic Education, the State Universal Basic Education.
Right.
Then 2, there's this road from Wurukum. There's a place they call Wurukum in Makadi, up towards the where you have the Air Force base. The Commissioner of Works came and submitted a proposal budget for the fixing of that road, and what was contained in that budget was 28 billion. At the end of the day, they saw 68 billion. And they called the Coast Commissioner for Works to come and answer questions to these infractions that they didn't understand, right? And the commissioner turned that invitation down. He did not honor the invitation, right? All these, and we heard that the chairman of Otupo local government got himself involved in one misappropriation or something,
right.
And they investigated and discovered that he was indicted. Now they resolved that they should go on suspension for like 3 months or so or more. The governor did not even look at it at all. The governor had to come back and look at it when they saw that there was this tussle now between them. The governor is not honoring their resolutions and all that. So the governor now had to look at that what that resolution asking for their suspension, and now reduced it to one month each, just for them to see how to honor the list of nominees that he sent to them for screening and confirmation, right? So this immediate past speaker now, I think suddenly he discovered that the way the governor is going about the governance of the state, the way the governor is running the state, people, their constituents are asking them questions. Because from the 23 local governments that we have in Benue, we have critical stakeholders from this local government that are asking questions. They are asking their representatives questions.
Right.
Why is it happening like this? We have an assembly in Benue that members of the state assembly cannot express themselves under a democracy. Their opinion, once they go against the opinion of the governor, or the instruction or directives of the governor, it is suspension. The member of my house, or the member representing my state constituency, was first suspended 6 months because the governor allegedly wanted to remove the chief judge of the state, and I heard reliably that he gave members that agreed to see how to remove the chief judge of Benue State 10 million naira each to see how to remove the chief judge of the state. The National Judicial Council got involved in it and said, no, governors don't have the rights, the powers to remove CJs of their various states. And how can we be in a country we are running a democracy? Inside this democracy, we are seeing dictatorship. In Benue, I made bold to say that what we are seeing in Benue is dictatorship. If you see the speaker's resignation letter, it was handwritten. It wasn't typed. That is one. Then you will discover that in the content of that letter, somebody that gave you opportunity to serve as speaker for 2 years plus, he did not even appreciate the governor for giving him the opportunity to serve as speaker. He only appreciated his colleagues. That goes to show that the speaker resigned. I want to believe that he resigned under duress. It wasn't his intention to resign.
It was in the interest of the state. So we might begin to question who the state is and what that stands for. But doctor, you've said a lot, and I mean, these are allegations, heavy allegations there. But there is the part of legislative-executive relations in every government. Dr. Onguga was a very controversial one when his name made that list. And it wasn't just about the people in the House of Assembly. It went as far as students in Benue State coming out to say a lot of things about the person of Dr. Onguga, and of course his credibility. I mean, integrity, we might not be able to put integrity side by side with that name from what is being reported. So what do you think the rejection of Dr. Nguga and James Duem's nomination reveal about the relationship between Benue State House of Assembly and the executive arm of the government? And how might this impact future collaborations? Because if the people are actually clamoring and crying out, talking about the cruelty, humiliation, and abuse against Dr. Nguga, why should the governor insist on his appointment?
That's the point. For me, what played out there was democracy at work. For me, what played out there shows the independence of the State Assembly. The State Assembly members represent the people. They are representing people from different constituencies. Now, there were petitions from left, right, center against Dr. Nguga that got to the State Assembly members, right? And you don't expect them to do the bidding of the governor when such a candidate for the position of commissioner had that loud,
very dense on it.
Yes, negativity around him. There were questions that they asked him during the screening. And as a doctor or an associate professor of law, I saw him struggling to see how to explain those questions that were put before him. So it means the man had baggage that the State Assembly members didn't find him worthy, to assume the position of commissioner in the state.
Doctor, it was even beyond the State Assembly, because it was literally slotting, and a lot of people have been beginning to question the credibility of the qualifications that he has, because if you are a professor in VIEW, then so much is expected from someone like that. But let's also look at accountability now. Given these allegations around cruelty, humiliation, and abuse against the same person, Dr. Nguga, what steps should the Benue House of Assembly take to ensure that nominees are thoroughly vetted and held accountable for their actions? Now that they have a new speaker, something has to be done. It shouldn't end with the speaker that resigned.
Now the question is, somebody that was suspended on Friday morning, you and I talked about it last week.
Yeah,
Friday,
we spoke about it last week, Friday afternoon.
Yes, exactly. And meanwhile, the governor, there was a press release. The governor said he didn't know that he didn't know anything about the impeachment of the governor, that he doesn't have a hand in it and all that. Now, this same person that is now speaker, when was he recalled from the 6-month suspension that was issued to them on Friday? That's one question. We didn't hear of the recall. We only heard that he was nominated as speaker. And one of the members that seconded, and one of the members that seconded the nomination of the man to be as in the current speaker to be speaker was also among the 4 persons or 4 members that was. So you just imagine. There's this proverb that says that if you see a squirrel dancing in the middle of the road, it means that a lion is beating the drum for that squirrel, right? Now, that goes to show that we saw where 4 members were suspended, and from amongst the 4, that's 2 days after, from amongst the 4, that one of them became speaker. Then who did that? You see, what we want to run, one of the elements of bad governance, right? It is deceit. When you deceive the people that you are governing, right? How can you, as governors, say that you don't know anything about the impeachment, you don't have a hand in it, then 2 days after, one of them became speaker, and you expect us to believe that you're not lying to us, you're not lying to the citizens? You see, when we begin to take personal and self-interest, very selfish interests above national and state interests,
you can't speak
then
for
there's
him.
problem.
The governor said he's not aware. I mean, he has the right to open his eyes and say he's sleeping. My people always say that it's easier to wake somebody that is sleeping than to wake someone pretending to be asleep. There's also the part of governance. Let's look at the governance perspective now. How might beggars, how do they even pronounce it? Is it beggar, like beggar bus stop in Lagos, or beggar, or bagger? Doctor?
It's Honorable Beggar. It's
Honorable Beggar, okay. So how might Honorable Beggar's leadership style and decisions impact the effectiveness of the Benue State House of Assembly, particularly in addressing the state's pressing issues such as insecurity and economic development? Because, I mean, just putting 1 and 2 together, it's quite easy to connect the allegation against these 4 with Beggar becoming speaker on a Sunday now. The then speaker, DAJOH, might have actually been correct about those allegations of a plan to impeach him, and of course, it's done the honorable thing to resign and let them do whatever they have to do. So it's understandable now that it's another River State that is playing out in Benue State, only that the godfather in this case is not Nyesom Wike, and that's why all of this is happening this way. So with the leadership of Beggar right now, how will his leadership style impact the effectiveness of Benue State House of Assembly? Because there are a lot of issues beyond appointments and nomination for commissions. We have insecurity that is biting hard in Benue State, ravaging communities, and of course, economic development needs to be invested in. There's a lot of people that have lost their livelihood due to insecurity. So what is expected for a speaker that feels already like a rubber stamp to the governor?
You have said it. From what we are saying, from what you are saying, and from what you have said, it's already clear. The coast is clear for the governor to do what he wants to do, because he has seen that the ousted or the speaker that resigned is no longer interested in doing his bidding. The speaker is interested in doing the bidding of the state, right? Things have turned around. So with the emergence of the current speaker, Honorable Beggar, what that means is that the governor has brought somebody that will continue to do what he wants to do. Let us see if this current assembly, under the leadership of Honorable Beggar, will see if the governor will resubmit the names of the immediate past commissioner for works and the associate professor, Dr. Onguga, that was rejected, and the other ones. If he resubmits their names and this current assembly clears them, then it goes to show that this current assembly under this new leader speaker is rubber stamp. That's what it means. Because I don't see now what should be their priority. Look, you have said it in your last remark. We have insecurity that has ravaged the state. Nothing is happening. When that's the way I said. When you come from a background that you think that you know it all, let me tell you something. An average priest sees himself as a Lord and Master. That when he talks or when he says masses in the church, and nobody, and at the end of it, everybody says amen. Everybody disperses and go. Nobody confronts him to say what you have said during mass is not correct or is not right. You cannot come and govern the state like that. The state is not a church. We have different people from different background, different ethnic group, different religion, different orientation, the way they see things and all that. But when you, as governor, you think that you know it all, you have what do you call it now? You are a master of all. Let me tell you something. If this is my state and I've been following events in the state, the man claims that he knows it all. He doesn't take instruction from anybody. Imagine that a state that is under this kind of insecurity issues and all that, when he first came as governor, the first 6-7 months, there was no advisor on security, no special assistant on security. You know, the state assembly in October had to give him 24 hours or 48 hours ultimatum to appoint a special advisor on security to him.
Very bad.
You are running a state as if you are a dictator. You want to gag members of the state assembly. Nobody should talk. Nobody should air their own view or opinion. As I speak to you, there are some members of the House of Assembly that don't still have official cards. He selected the ones that are loyal to him, the ones that gave contrary opinion or view about against certain things that are submitted in the state House of Assembly. He hasn't given them official cards. I
saw that while researching on this story. The fact that some members of the House of Assembly have not
chairmen of local government. There are chairmen of local government that are there that were elected, that were there before he came. He came, dissolved them, and did another local government election, elected new ones or appointed new ones. At the end of, as I speak to you, they don't have official cards to function.
You know, Doctor, I'm wondering, states that don't even have so much to deal with are in the news every other day, and across social media have people calling them out, which in a way makes people hold people within the corridors of power accountable. But it's not happening in Benue State. It feels like a lot of people do not really understand that so much is happening in that state, or it's just the fact that a lot of people just look at Benue State out of pity. But I want us to touch on institutional integrity now. What measures can be taken to ensure that the Benue State House of Assembly maintains its institutional integrity and independence, particularly in the face of executive influence and pressure? And how might Berger's decision impact these? And I also want you to respond on the behalf of the people too. What are the people doing exactly? A lot is not being said from Benue State. A lot is not being heard from the people of Benue State. And if we are not talking about it today, I'm sure outside the headlines yesterday, people moved on to many other stories by the beginning of today. And it's quite unfortunate. Can you hear me, Doctor?
The last question, I didn't get it.
Okay, let me take the question again. I was talking about institutional integrity. I said, let's look at the conversation.
I heard that one.
You got that part. And I said, I was asking measures that can be taken to ensure that the Benue Assembly maintains its institutional integrity and independence, particularly in the face of executive influence or pressure. And how might Honorable Berger's decisions impact this? Then I told you to speak also on behalf of the Berger people, or maybe the Benue people, make us understand. Because a lot of things happening in Benue State is not seen or heard. A lot of people do not even know that this is the reality in Benue State. I recall on Saturday on the morning show, we're talking about how these things happen, and a lot of people do not even pay attention to that state because people don't know. So is it about the people accepting that, oh, at the end of the day, Father is the father of everybody and we can speak against the anointed? Or is just, is that the natural behavior of an average Benue person to keep quiet in the face of injustice? Okay, I guess network is really bad. We'll go on a break now, and when we return, we'll come to talk about the politics behind. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Let me just respond quickly to some of the things that you have raised.
Please go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Now, for the Assembly to maintain its institutional integrity and to see how to reduce the influence of the executive, I think this depends on the leadership of the State House of Assembly and members, right? Because as I'm talking as a stakeholder, as an indigenous of the state, I cannot go into the assembly and tell them that this is what is expected of them. This is what they ought to do. So I think this should come from members of the State House of Assembly.
Doctor, you can hold your representative accountable. That's why I asked the question about the people of Benue State. You can't actually hold your representative accountable. If there's a lot of fire, I mean, if a lot of people are holding their representative accountable, I mean, they would know how to. The speaker can be changed 8 times before the end of 4 years. It will only speak more of the person of the governor, and it will make the world understand what is going on in the state. Okay. Network issues there. We'll reconnect with Dr. Steve Okore after this break. Let's go on this break, and when we come back...
you are talking, I am hearing you now. Can you imagine?
Doctor, let's just go on a break, get a better reception, then we'll come back to talk about the politics behind the Benue State governor's appointments and his leadership lapses. Please stay tuned.
Good morning. It's the start of a beautiful day. Or start your day right with a healthy dose of news, fun, and inspiration. Join us on VOP this morning for the latest news, trending topics, and uplifting stories to set your day on the right vibe. From news and current events to lifestyle and entertainment, you are covered. VOP This Morning, 8 a.m., Monday through Friday. In a world where truth is the ultimate...
Many thanks for staying with People's Voice on VOP Television. We are discussing the politics of Benue State. And yes, the politics behind Benue State Governor Father ALIA'S appointments and the leadership lapses have been marred by controversies. The governor, Father ALIA nominees for commissioner positions were met with resistance from the Benue State House of Assembly, with some lawmakers questioning the governor's leadership style and the ability to address the state's insecurity challenges. The state has witnessed a surge in attacks by Fulani herdsmen, resulting in loss of lives and displacement of communities. Critics argue that Governor ALIA'S administration has failed to effectively address the issues, with some accusing him of being more interested in consolidating power than protecting the people of Benue State. There are also allegations of corruption and mismanagement of funds under Governor ALIA'S administration, with critics pointing to the awarding of contracts worth billions of nairas without due process and the failure to clear salary arrears and pensions owed to workers and retirees. The governor's relationship with the Benue State House of Assembly has been strained, with the governor denying involvement in a failed impeachment plot against the speaker. The speaker's eventual resignation and the elevation of Alfred Mbaga, popularly known as Honorable Baga, has been controversial to the position. That position has raised questions about the dynamics within the assembly and the governor's influence. Well, I'm still joined by Dr. Steve Okwori, joining us virtually from FCT Abuja to discuss the Benue State politics. Dr. Okwori, can you hear me now? Hello, Dr. Okwori, please respond if you can hear me.
I can hear you very well. Thank you.
Okay, so let's do this together. Let's talk about leadership effectiveness now. How do you assess Governor ALIA'S leadership style in addressing insecurity challenges posed by herdsmen attacks in Benue State? And what strategies would you recommend to improve the situation? I mean, this is no longer news, but it feels like politicking is more important than the safety of the people.
As far as I'm concerned, he's not doing anything. Are you there?
I'm with you.
Yes, because if you watch the president's visit, when the president went to condole the state during the last Yelwata attack, the president told him that he should govern by carrying the people along. He's not doing that. You cannot govern the state you can't govern the state as just one single individual. You need people to govern the state alongside with you. And he's not doing it. All the instructions or the advice that the president gave to him, he's not doing anything. Rather than doing what he needs to do to protect lives and citizens of the state, he's not doing it. He collects over 5 billion naira as monthly security votes. Only, as I speak to you, local government funds do not go to local government directly. He still collects these funds from local government chairmen. What kind of leadership is this? What kind of leadership style is this?
It's quite unfortunate.
We're thinking that this man is coming to do something differently from the way the ordinary Nigerian politicians do things, or wrong governance or wrong government. Go to Makurdi and see what is happening in Makurdi. All the roads within Makurdi are bad. From Urukunu and about to Government House, there's no road. The road through the School of Nursing is so bad. There's a road from from B Division. It's called Ishaya Bakut Road. It's not passable. It's not motorable. These are roads within the city of Makurdi. For crying out loud, what is it? Is the governance is not rocket science. When you make your priorities right, you will govern. Why do they make us give the impression as if to become governor or to perform as governor is one difficult task? But just imagine, look at the background where he came from. What's his pedigree? He's a Catholic priest. Apart from being a priest, what else has he done? Nothing. In all of this, I
think
blame
it's high time Nigerians stop.
there for bringing somebody like that on board as to become governor of the state, rather than people telling him that what you are doing is not right. This is the way to go. Another some persons are even telling him that what he's doing is right because of politics, because of what they stand to benefit from. I'm not a politician. I don't live in Benue. I live in Abuja, but Benue is my state. When I appear on television and other media houses to discuss issues of burden on insecurity, what is he doing?
It's quite unfortunate.
Personal interest is his priority at the detriment of lives. And you promise people, the citizens of the state, when he was campaigning in his manifesto, what are the promises? Which one has he met? If you go and look at the list of appointments in Benue, if there are 200, for instance, 195 are from his local government. The other side of Tivland and the other part of Idoma, the other side of the state, which happens to be the Idoma part, speaking part, there is nobody. What kind of thing is that?
Doctor, let me take you on governance and accountability, because I was trying to say earlier that it's high time Nigerians stopped pity votes. It's high time Nigerians stopped looking into righteousness, as it were, because it feels like that's how we get into trouble over and over again. We run down whoever is in office. We pretend to have better ideas. I mean, attach whether the church, the mosques, or whatever our beliefs are, and Nigerians tend to believe that, okay, this is the next God sent. But it's never about just God sent. Now, God will not come down. We'll definitely work through humans. But what measures do you think can be taken to ensure transparency and accountability in Governor ALIA'S administration, particularly regarding the claims of awarding contracts and management of state funds? You talked about the education board, talked about over 1 billion naira fraud in that department. There's a part of the chairman of the local government that is still under scrutiny and questioning, and also the part of irregularities in figures when it comes to funding in the state. How can the state legislature hold the executive branch accountable for its actions?
It's by effective oversight. That's the only way. Effective oversight. And this is the only way they can ask questions. Oversight exposes corruption. Oversight exposes failures of agencies of government why they are not performing. It exposes the inefficiency of ministries, departments, and agencies. Now, the last speaker that just left was trying to see how to bring back that on board. Let us ask questions. And that was why they asked the Commissioner for Works questions about the road construction or rehabilitation. And that was why they asked questions about the development in the state universal basic education. That's the only way. But when you refuse to allow the state assembly committees or the assembly as a whole to carry out oversight functions on MDAs, there cannot be accountability, there cannot be transparency, there cannot be efficiency. For crying out loud, as governor, if the governor truly knows and means what he is doing,
okay,
is there any need to begin to hide certain infractions or certain corruption issues or developments in the state? Is there any need to hide them from the citizens of the state from knowing? So for him, he feels that the state assembly under the last speaker was trying to reveal certain things that are happening under his government that is not correct.
And that's no longer democracy. Exactly. It's not a dictatorship. We are not under any military regime. But thank you so much, Dr. Steve Okwori. We see the passion in every bit of analysis in this conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. That's the much we can take on that topic.
Thank you, Adi.
All right, to our viewers, thank you so much for being a part of the People's Voice again this beautiful Monday afternoon. It's the beginning of a new week. We started with political stories, especially the events happening in Benue State. We're here to do more. Until next time, we'll be on your screen to tell you what is happening in Nigeria political landscape, especially from the perspective of the Nigerian citizens. My name is Adefunke Jaisumi. Good afternoon.